My cheating ex-wife tried to make me jealous by sending engagement photos, but a background detail led me to unintentionally destroy her career and life. About a year ago, my ex-wife, Samantha, 32-year-old female, decided to leave me, a 30-year-old male, for her younger Kia worker, who she had been having an affair with for almost 8 months. At the time, we had been together for 4 years and married for 2. We were just a week away from celebrating our second marriage anniversary when she told me that she couldn't do this anymore and that she had been cheating on me with Nick, her CO worker, for the past 8 months. A few weeks before that, the two of them had confessed that they loved each other and wanted to spend their future with one another, so she couldn't continue pretending to be happy with me and said that she was going to leave. I was completely blindsided by that because even though she had been acting a little strange in the months leading up to that, I just thought that she was stressed out because of work. Never in my life would I have imagined that she was cheating on me with a 23-year-old who had just started working with her. But after that, everything started making sense why she had been acting a little off for the past few months, and why she had been spending so much time at work. She had not actually been stressed from work. She had been stressed because of me and the efforts that it took to hide her affair from me. She had indeed been spending a lot of time at work too, but not because she was working overtime, but because of Nick. After she told me the truth, I immediately asked her to get out of the house and she left. Presumably because she had already had a discussion with Nick since after that she started living with him. The divorce was rough because I was really angry and I wanted to really mess her up. I don't think anyone can blame me for that because we had been together for 4 years at the time, and she knew that I had been cheated on earlier as well. So I had a lot of trust issues, but she had broken down my walls and got me to trust her only to break it once again. That had really shattered me and I had been going through a rough patch at the time. Now I'm doing better though, thankfully. The divorce came through a few months ago and I've been pretty happy about it because it was finalized on my terms. I got the house, got to keep the car, and I also walked away with a substantial amount of settlement. I wouldn't say that it helped in healing me or anything of the sort, but it brought me some peace knowing that at least I got something out of the divorce. And the fact that she was very upset about giving up the house was also something that brought me great joy. Anyway, for the past couple of months, I've only been trying to move on since I don't have to see her anymore and neither do I have to interact with her. I had blocked her everywhere after I found out about her affair and I also told my friends that I didn't want to hear about her. The only thing that I had known so far was that right after I had kicked her out, she had started living with Nick. And they had probably been living together ever since, but that did not matter to me anymore. This week, we would have celebrated our 3rd marriage anniversary together if we had stayed together, and I'd been feeling quite low on the day of our anniversary. She decided to make it worse by reaching out to me through email, and sending me a bunch of photos of her engagement party, since she and Nick had apparently gotten engaged recently. There was also a message along with it. I'll just paste it here. It's almost been a year since we broke up. And initially, I was really sorry that I ended up cheating on you, but now I don't feel that way anymore. I think it was destiny that brought Nick into my life, and you were just a placeholder. I know you could not have ever been my soulmate even if you tried because you are vindictive, mean, and heartless. I know that you were the one who turned all our friends against me by telling them that it was gross that I was dating a 23-year-old as if that's illegal. We are in love. And I wish you could realize how wonderful of a feeling it is and how age doesn't matter when you're in love. You're closer to my age and yet what Nick and I share, you will never have that with anyone. Do you know why? It's because you're not worthy of it. You were the one who tried to make it look ugly when Nick and I got together, and I will admit it was wrong of me to cheat. But the nasty ways that you chose to retaliate just make me grateful that I decided to go along with Nick because he's the perfect man and you'll never be him. I thank God every day that we got a divorce and I didn't have to end up with you. So you might have won the divorce and gotten away with your demands, but I wanted life. I'm sharing a couple of photos from our engagement party. Hopefully, you'll see this and realize what true love looks like and find it in yourself to be able to move on. Happy anniversary. This is what she sent to me along with the photos of the engagement party, and it really boiled my blood when I read that message because she kept harping on about one thing, that I had turned our friends against her by making it seem gross that she was dating a 23-year-old while being literally almost a decade older than him. Let me just make it clear, I was not the one who turned our friends against her. So Samantha and I had known each other since we were in college, and we did have a common circle, but I kind of drifted apart from most of my friends after college since I had to move out of state for work. 6 years ago, I finally came back and started working here, and that's how I ended up reconnecting with my old friends, and that included Samantha, and we ended up spending more time together. When I returned, she and I had a very tight-knit group of friends and they were all very supportive of our relationship. We were all very close until she cheated and I told our friends about it because obviously, why would I hide it? And I never said that it was gross of her to date Nick when he was so much younger than her, even though I do believe that it was gross. But I didn't have to say anything to our friends to make them cut her off. They made that choice for themselves. Yet she has always believed that I was the one who forced them to pick and I manipulated them into picking me and she still holds a grudge against me for that. However, even more than that, she didn't like the fact that I got the divorce to be finalized on my terms. So all these reasons combined, I guess she just wanted to rub it in my face that she was getting engaged to the man that she had cheated on me with just so that I would feel bad. And well, she had succeeded because I felt terrible, especially because of what she had said about how she had won at life and the fact that she even wished me a happy anniversary. Showing off that she remembered that it was our anniversary and she was doing this on purpose. That was simply diabolical. I was actually about to delete the email because it was so upsetting. But before I did that, something in the photos caught my eye. In the background of some of the photos, I could see a very familiar person, and when I zoomed in, I realized that it happened to be one of my very distant relatives. This person, let's call her Joanna, isn't exactly related to me by blood, but there's still some relation there, so I could use that to my advantage. To be more precise, she is married to my father's third cousin, and we have occasionally seen and met each other at some family get-togethers. But since they're not very closely related, my father isn't exactly friends with them, and neither are we. I've only seen her a couple of times, but I recognized her in the background of those pictures, and I instantly sent those pictures to my father and asked him to confirm if it was actually her. I explained the entire situation to him and he decided to call his cousin and ask him what was going on. After the phone call, my father and I were able to find out that Joanna was attending that engagement party because she was about to invest in the business that Samantha was starting. Samantha had used her mother's connections to get Joanna on board since, apparently, my ex-mother-in-law had been quite close to Joanna's sister. Yeah. It's pretty complicated, but anyway, that's how they knew each other and they had been in the talks for a couple of months, and Samantha had invited Joanna to the party so they could get to know each other better before she invested in her business. I requested my father to pass on his cousin's contact information to me because I had a lot to talk to him about. I had mentioned earlier as well that my father isn't exactly close to these people, so they had no idea about my life. And they definitely didn't know about my divorce from Samantha and the other side of her. I hadn't actually been hoping to achieve anything because I didn't think that Joanna would give up on a business opportunity just because a distant relative had been cheated by the woman that she was about to invest in. So I hadn't actually been hoping for anything when I reached out to my uncle and asked him to put me in touch with his wife because I had to talk to her about Samantha. However, when I spoke to them, I realized that they were really warm and quite willing to hear me out. So I explained everything about my divorce to them, and then I even forwarded the email that Samantha had sent to me, telling them that I felt like it was my duty to warn them about the kind of woman that they were dealing with because she is not a good person. And just as I had expected, both Joanna and her husband were quite surprised because apparently, Samantha had been very sweet to them the entire time that they had been talking about investing in her business, and she had been quite charming and kind. That was not surprising for me because Samantha actually was quite the charmer when she wanted to be. That's how she got me and she's very good at pretending, which is how she was able to hide her affair for so long. Anyway, after I told them the truth about her, they told me that they were really thankful that I had reached out to them and they were going to think about what they wanted to do after this. Even then, I hadn't actually been expecting anything to happen. I just thought that I had the satisfaction of knowing that at least I had done something real and not just sat back and let things happen. Surprisingly though, today, I received another email from my dear ex-wife, and the tone of this one was quite different from her last. Apparently, after speaking to me, Joanna had decided to resend her offer of investing in the business since that one conversation with me had completely changed her opinion of Samantha. Joanna had started to ghost her personally and had her secretary inform Samantha that she was no longer interested in the business anymore and wished her the best, but she couldn't go further on with her, going to special circumstances. After her talk with me and her secretary made sure to mention me, so Samantha would know exactly what's going on. Samantha couldn't contact me in any other way, so she had to send me an email again and tell me that she was quite desperate because she had already quit her job and had started recruiting people for her business. Without Joanna's investment, she would have to shut down and go back to working and she just wasn't ready for that. She was practically begging me to make things right and even tried to bribe me by telling me that she was ready to make me a partner in her company only if I got Joanna to come back on board and she knew that I could do it. I was actually quite happy reading that email because it made me realize that she had really screwed things up for herself by sending me that horrible message and trying to rub it in my face. Her plan had totally backfired and now she was the one who was in a terrible position and needed me to bail her out. I was feeling like I was on top of the world and was relishing the experience until out of nowhere, I started feeling guilty about what was happening. I don't even know why, but a couple of hours ago, I started feeling like I was a terrible person for doing this and that I'm no different from Samantha if I'm actually relishing it. I've spoken to my parents about it. I've spoken to my friends as well and all of them have told me that the only reason I'm feeling guilty is because I'm a decent human being. But that doesn't mean that what I did was wrong. But that's not helped me because I know that they are on my side and they're going to be biased because they love me. I guess what I'm saying is that I need some unbiased people to validate my decision because I've just realized that I am literally ruining somebody's career right now and I've been enjoying it so far. But that realization has made it a little less fun. It's complicated, but I really need somebody to put things into perspective for me right now, and I need it to be completely free of any bias. So am I the a-hole for getting an investor to back out of my cheating ex-wife's business and ruining her career? Edit. I guess there has been some confusion about my statement regarding how it was gross for my ex-wife to be dating a 23-year-old. Yes. It's legal and I am aware of that, but that doesn't make it all fine all of a sudden. Just to put things into perspective, he has just graduated 2 years ago and has very little real-world experience. And when he started working with her, it was only his second job. Meanwhile, Samantha has been working for the past 10 years. And even at this job, she was supposed to be his senior. So it's quite obvious that she has had a lot more experience than him. And the power dynamics between the two of them are obviously not going to be the same had it been a man of her own age. And I'm sure that a lot of other people agree with what I'm saying, because if everyone had thought that it was completely fine for them to be dating, they wouldn't have had to quit their jobs and start working elsewhere after the news of my divorce and their affairs started spreading. So I know for a fact that Nick is an adult and can make his own decisions, and I'm not judging him, not for that at least, but I think I'm allowed to judge my ex-wife who cheated on me with somebody so much younger than her. Anyway, it's my personal opinion that it was gross of her, and I'm going to stand by that. I think that she was taking advantage of his immaturity, and I think it's weird and unethical, but that's just me. People don't have to agree with me or anything. I'm fine with it. But there's no reason to be so hateful to me just because I called it a gross relationship. The woman cheated on me. I think I've earned the right to criticize her. As for saying it to my friends, I had already mentioned in my original post that I did not say it to them. They were the ones who had been saying it and I just agreed, but didn't harp on about it. Neither did I tell my friends to cut them out of their lives because of this. That was their own choice as well. What I'm trying to say is that I have tried my best to deal with all of this as maturely as I possibly can because I don't want to indulge in any sort of drama. I just wanted to get out of that marriage as quickly as possible and get the divorce finalized. So I would really appreciate it if people did not hate on me in the comments, because it's really not necessary, and I don't think it's fair either. Thank you to the ones who were kind enough to me and everyone else who was polite and civil, the rest of you guys. I don't know what's wrong with you people, but it's not okay to hate on other people like this. Update 1. I finally responded to the email that Samantha had sent me. And I told her that I really appreciated her offer of wanting to make me a partner in this company, but I was just not interested. After all, she had cheated on me once. I didn't want to be cheated on once again. And I also told her that I had spoken to Joanna, but I hadn't told her that she had to opt out of investing in the business. That had been completely Joanna's personal choice. I had only warned her about Samantha. And well, it's not like she can blame me for that because she was the one who sent me those photos and that's how I found out about the connection. Anyway, I made it very clear to her that I hadn't told Joanna not to invest in her business. And since I couldn't have influenced that decision, I don't think I can go up to her and tell her to invest in Samantha, since that's not my place either. Plus, even if I could, I'm not sure I would want to do that to anyone because I know her as a person, and I know how petty and vindictive she is. So I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to be investing in her business right now. Had she been a changed person and not sent me that email at all, maybe none of this would have happened, but she's still a horrible human being, so she totally deserves this. I also told her that she needs to move on, not me, because I'm not the one still whining about the fact that our friends are not speaking to me anymore. That was also her own fault. She cheated on me, and that ruined her friendship with a lot of people because it was a horrible thing to do. But now what's done is done. She could have just chosen to move on, but for some reason she just keeps trying to find ways to blame me for all of this. In the email that I wrote back to her, I told her that the real villain in her life is her and not me. She is the one who keeps screwing up everything for herself. And then when she has nobody else to blame, she turns to me. I ended the email by telling her that she has a very sad existence and that I really hope things get better for her, because right now, I don't think she's winning at life at all. People who win at life don't feel the need to announce it to the people they don't like anymore. And then I blocked that email address so that she wouldn't be able to contact me again, because that's the last thing that I need. Of course, she can always just make a new one and try to reach out to me, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, I'm just grateful that my family, no matter how distant they are from me, decided to take my side. So yesterday, I called Joanna up and I thanked her for not investing in Samantha. And she went on to tell me that I was the one who had saved her from investing in somebody who was obviously not reliable or trustworthy. If she could cheat on me and then treat me like crap, then she's obviously not a good person and she wouldn't want to invest in somebody like that. She also told me that at the end of the day, we are family even though we haven't interacted much, and blood is always thicker than water. So I was very grateful for that, and I even invited them over for dinner this weekend because this is a pretty big deal for me. I've also invited my parents so we can all bond, and I think an experience like this is going to bring us together even though we haven't been close before. And regarding everything that has happened with Samantha, I've spoken to my friends about it, and they have told me that I really don't need to feel guilty about ruining her career. I had mentioned this in my original post as well towards the end, but I want to bring it up again because apparently, there were certain things that I didn't know since my friends had wanted to protect my feelings. And so they hadn't spoken to me about it earlier, but apparently, while we were getting divorced, she had tried to do everything in her power to turn them against me and make me look like the villain so they would testify against me that would sway the divorce terms. She was pretty desperate, so she had tried to make it seem like I'd been the one who had driven her to cheat because I used to act like a psycho. And apparently, I was very insecure and petty. She had even tried to tell our friends that apparently, I had younger issues and I would go out of my way to make life difficult for her, but nobody had bought any of that, and everyone has stayed by my side, which is probably why she is so upset. They hadn't told me about any of this in the past because they wanted to spare my feelings since I had been finding it very difficult to move on and to be fair. Even though I had told them that I didn't want to hear anything about her. However, after they told me about it, I started feeling a lot less guilty about screwing things up for her because I think she deserves it. Actually, let me just say it. I know she deserves it and I refuse to feel sorry for her anymore. Update 2. Hi. So it's been 2 weeks since I blocked Samantha and since then, I haven't had any contact with her. The dinner with Joanna and my uncle was a success. And since my parents had come over for dinner as well, even my father got to bond with his cousin. So it was pretty fun. And Joanna told me that after finding out what had happened, even her sister had cut ties with my ex-mother-in-law because, I remember, my in-laws had supported their daughter, which was obvious, but it was a good thing to do. I have been feeling quite content with my decision, and after what happened this evening, I am pretty sure that I did the right thing because Nick showed up at my house. I don't know how he found me, but anyway, that doesn't matter anymore. He showed up pretty late just as I was about to heat up my dinner, and when I saw that it was him outside, I told him to go away because I didn't want anything to do with him. I think anyone in my place would have reacted the same way, but he didn't leave. Instead, he started throwing a tantrum on my doorstep and accused me of being a jealous loser. He told me that I just couldn't stand the fact that my ex-wife was happier with him instead of me, and that's why I had taken it upon myself to try and ruin their lives. He called me crazy and told me that there was no reason for me to keep tabs on her life just to try and ruin her. And I realized that he probably had no idea I'd even found out about Joanna because if he had known about it, he would have known that I found out about Joanna just because of what Samantha had sent to me. So I told him about the email and I told him exactly what she had said to me, but he refused to believe me. So I told him that I would gladly send him the email if he wanted me to, and that's what he made me do. He stood outside the door and made me forward the email to him, and only then did he realize what was going on. After he got that, I'm pretty sure he started feeling like a fool and just walked away without saying anything else. Then I went back to my dinner and a few minutes ago, right before I started typing out this update, he sent me an email saying that I was still a horrible human being for going out of my way to ruin my ex-wife's life and career. He called me miserable and petty and just reinforced my belief that I had done the right thing by exposing Samantha. Anyway, I told him that he and his wife needed to leave me alone and stop acting like they were obsessed with me because right now, I was just one more incident away from posting all of this on social media, and then everyone would know what kind of people they were. So that was that. And I'm finally going to start with my dinner now, and I really just hope that they have learned the lesson and they're going to leave me alone now. Update 3. Hey, everyone. I have some pretty fantastic news to share with you guys. So it has been almost a month since my last update, and 3 days ago, I heard from a couple of my friends that Samantha and Nick had posted that they were breaking up their engagement and going their separate ways due to irreconcilable differences. I don't know why they use such corporate language just to announce their breakup because it's not like they were getting divorced. But anyway, they also mentioned that they would continue to remain cordial and hope that people would give them the privacy they needed at this time. I don't know why they were talking about privacy at all because from what I've heard, Samantha herself has been bad-mouthing Nick to all her friends and has been talking crap about him relentlessly. My friend and I managed to read between the lines from all the gossip that we have heard about it. And we think that he decided to leave her a couple of weeks ago, probably after I told him about the email and stuff. And he decided that he couldn't be with somebody who was still reaching out to her ex on purpose, even if it was just to make me feel bad. I guess it was also bad that she had lied to him and didn't mention the email to him while talking about why the deal with Joanna had fallen through. Samantha's ego couldn't handle this, so she started bad-mouthing Nick and told a bunch of her friends that he was only with her for the money and the stability. Because ever since she had moved in with him, she had been covering all their expenses and he barely had to spend $1 on anything. It was gross how she had switched up her attitude toward Nick so quickly just because he was not willing to put up with her and her lies anymore. Anyway, I think it's fantastic news because right now neither does she have a job, and her fiancé also left her. So she's pretty much at rock bottom. I don't feel bad for her at all because she deserves all of this. She brought it all onto herself. I'm doing a lot better and I don't even care about her or what she's going through anymore. My work is great. I have my friends and family by my side and that's pretty much all I need. So far, I had even been holding back on getting a dog because she's allergic, but I think it's about time that I got a dog as well. But even right now, I feel pretty fulfilled. Update 4. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I thought I'd share how things have developed. I did end up getting that dog, a golden retriever named Max who's become my loyal companion. My life has settled into a comfortable rhythm, and I've even started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it feels good to be moving forward. As for Samantha, I heard through mutual acquaintances that she's been struggling. After her business venture collapsed and her engagement ended, she had to move back in with her parents at 32. She apparently tried to find work at her old company but burned too many bridges. A friend who still works there told me she showed up for an interview looking disheveled and desperate. When asked about her failed business, she blamed everything on external sabotage rather than taking responsibility. Just last week, I ran into Nick at a coffee shop downtown. He approached me, which surprised me, but his demeanor was completely different from our last encounter. He apologized for his behavior at my house and admitted that after reading that email, his eyes were open to Samantha's true character. He explained that after breaking off their engagement, he discovered she had been hiding significant debt and had been counting on Joanna's investment to solve her financial problems. He also mentioned that toward the end of their relationship, she had begun monitoring his texts and social media, showing paranoid behavior that he eventually couldn't tolerate. What was most revealing was when he told me that Samantha had apparently been bad-mouthing me to him from the very beginning of their affair, painting me as controlling and abusive to justify her cheating. It was only after seeing how she turned on him with similar accusations that he realized the pattern. The most unexpected development came yesterday when I received a letter, not an email, but an actual handwritten letter, from Samantha. In it, she wrote a lengthy apology, acknowledging her mistakes and the pain she caused. She explained that she'd been attending therapy and working on herself. While part of me wants to believe she's genuinely changed, the timing feels suspicious. Through the grapevine, I heard she's trying to secure funding for another business venture, and I can't help but wonder if this apology is simply her attempting to neutralize any potential risks to her plans. I haven't responded to the letter and don't plan to. Some relationships are simply better left in the past. My focus remains on building my future, with Max by my side and the valuable lesson that sometimes the best revenge isn't plotting it yourself, but simply allowing people to face the natural consequences of their own actions. I've also become close with Joanna and her husband, who have become something like mentors to me. They've introduced me to their business network, and I'm considering a career change that might prove more fulfilling than my current job. It's amazing how sometimes the most painful experiences can lead to unexpected opportunities and connections. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine, and for the first time in years, I'm excited about what comes next. 1-year anniversary of my freedom, as I've come to call it. I celebrated by taking a week off work for a solo trip to the mountains with Max. The solitude was exactly what I needed, hiking through forests, reading by the fireplace in a rented cabin, and finally feeling completely at peace with my past. My return brought unexpected news. Joanna called to inform me that Samantha had approached her again with another business proposal, completely oblivious to the fact that Joanna knew everything about our history. Apparently, Samantha had started a consulting firm and was seeking investors, pitching it as a revolutionary approach to corporate training. According to Joanna, the business plan was full of buzzwords but lacking substance. Samantha didn't even recognize Joanna at first, which showed how little attention she'd paid to her potential investors beyond seeing them as walking checkbooks. Things took an interesting turn at my company's holiday party last month. I brought Rachel, the woman I've been dating for the past 4 months. We've been taking things slow, but it feels genuine and healthy. At the party, my boss announced I was being promoted to department head, a position Samantha had coveted when she worked there. Later that evening, I learned through a coworker that Samantha had actually applied for the same position, unaware that I still worked there since the company had expanded considerably. The most surreal moment came when I received a wedding invitation from Nick. He's marrying a kindergarten teacher he met at a volunteer event. He included a handwritten note explaining that while it might seem odd to invite me, he wanted to acknowledge how our unusual connection had helped him recognize toxic relationship patterns and find someone who truly respected him. I was touched by the gesture but politely declined the invitation, sending a nice gift instead. Some boundaries are better maintained. As for Samantha, her attempts at reinvention seem to be failing. Her consulting business has a website full of stock photos and generic advice, with only a handful of clients, mostly friends of her parents. According to mutual acquaintances, she's developed a habit of portraying herself as a victim of circumstances beyond her control, never acknowledging her role in her downfall. Last week, I received another letter from her, this one less apologetic and more accusatory, suggesting I owed her closure and forgiveness. I shredded it without finishing it. My therapist says this is healthy, recognizing that not every relationship deserves continuation or closure. With Joanna's mentorship, I've started a small side business of my own, something I never would have considered during my marriage. It's still in its early stages, but the freedom to build something that's entirely mine has been incredibly empowering. Max has been joined by a rescue cat named Luna. Turns out I'm a dog and cat person. Rachel adores them both. My house, once a space that held painful memories, has transformed into a home filled with new beginnings. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about how differently things might have turned out if Samantha hadn't cheated or sent that spiteful email, but those thoughts come less frequently now. The truth is, her betrayal inadvertently led me to a far better life than the one I had with her. And that, perhaps, is the greatest revenge of all.